In the circus, they have trapeze artists whose job it is to flip around up in the air so people can watch this and be entertained. But to maximize the enjoyment of these tricks, they must provide a safety net for the trapeze artists. Without a safety net, the trapeze artists wouldn't dare do anything dangerous, not for any amount of money. So, by putting a huge safety net underneath them, the circus encourages them to do as dangerous tricks as they can to really push the limits of what they can do. One of the most curious economic laws that applies to political decisions is the law of unintended consequences. Politicians love to pass laws that have short-term benefits, but these laws often, if not always, have some kind of long-term consequences that are negative. But since these negative consequences happen much further out in the future, they are never associated with the initial political decisions. Politicians have very short memories, and the general public even shorter. Most of us forget things every day. Even when we try to pay close attention to complicated ideas, we almost always forget these ideas as soon as we understand these ideas. Once there were a few states that didn't have seatbelt laws, so politicians took this opportunity to pass seatbelt laws to make everybody wear their seat belts. On the surface, this seemed like a win-win law. The politicians would look like superheroes for enforcing public safety. Lives would be saved, less money would be spent on accident victims. Everybody would be happy, only that's not what happened. Once there was an evil warlock. He spent his entire career using black magic to cause as much emotional distress and agony as he could. This guy loved to make people suffer, but he did so in a way that would always make him a lot of money. So at the end of his career, he thought he'd settle down. He opened up a homeopathic shop selling various herbs and teas. He even allowed himself to do good for people and not make very much money. But he didn't want to be too good, because the whole reason for turning evil in the first place was that he would use his magic to help people, but then they would begin to take him for granted. They would even benefit from his magic and then use that benefit against others. So he turned to the dark side and became extremely vicious, and this is when he started to make a ton of money. But in his old age, he'd figured he'd give people one more chance, so he infused his herbal remedies and his tea with potential magic. If his customers used this magic for good, it would increase their good fortunes. If his customers used the magic for evil, it would create severe and long-term irreversible negative consequences. The magic was always the same in the short term. You could buy herbal remedies that would significantly enhance your sexual power. You could buy remedies and strategies that would make you irresistibly seductive. You could buy remedies that would allow you to control the thinking of others, to make them feel any feeling, feel any desire, feel any compulsion that you wanted them to feel. You could buy remedies that would allow you to enjoy perfect health without the need for diet or exercise. These remedies would allow you to enjoy endless orgasms powered by metaphysical bliss. These remedies would allow you to give endless orgasms powered by metaphysical bliss. If you use these powers for good, they will increase. But if you use these powers for evil, to do harm to others, you will eventually go insane and suffer from non-stop attack by vicious demons who will enjoy feasting on your soul for all eternity. If you have 1 million drivers not wearing seatbelts, they will be very careful, because they all know that if they crash, they will go flying through the windshield. But if you force them to wear seatbelts, they will each drive slightly less safely. The end result of seatbelt laws is an increase in property damage, an increase in death, the opposite of what politicians expected. But since these negative consequences always take a while to play out, nobody ever notices. It's almost like we humans are programmed to self Sabotage. We self-sabotage on individual levels when we accept short-term pleasure for longer-term pain. And we seem destined to self-sabotage on a state and national level where we vote for laws that create short-term benefits but long-term negatives. A physical safety net in a circus encourages riskier behavior. A metaphorical safety net in society also encourages riskier behavior. A physical safety net in the circus only needs to be paid for once, but a metaphorical safety net in a society needs to be continuously paid for. The bigger it gets, the more riskier behavior it encourages. The more risky behavior it encourages, the more it encourages politicians to pass laws that will inevitably create short-term benefits but long-term negative consequences. The survival rate of every society since the agricultural revolution is 0. Perhaps now we can understand why. People that are addicted to drugs and alcohol and other negative behaviors know that if they continue, they will die, but they cannot stop. Perhaps societies are the same. We can't help ourselves. We are destined to self-sabotage ourselves to death. On the other hand, even if society is collapsing, there is no reason you need to. You can choose to do whatever you want.